What's going on, guys? Steve here, and this is my review for The Flash Season 3, Episode 12, entitled Untouchable. So another one-off episode, but I actually really liked this episode. Aside from the end, which was a little anticlimactic, I thought. But I thought this episode was fun, and it was good. And we saw Kid Flash in training. So we see Wally in training throughout most of the episode. Now, we have a couple different storylines, Wally in training being one. Clive Yorkin, who was captured in Flashpoint, is now hunting down the Flashpoint cops. So we see that he's going after Joe, he's going after all these other cops that were police officers in the Flashpoint story arc, and that was the main focus of this episode. And then we did have that really touching moment where everyone finally tells Joe about what's going to happen to Iris. And good acting all around on that. It actually made me kind of almost get choked up there too. It was a very touching moment in the series. I think that Jesse Martin, the guy who plays Joe, is a fantastic actor. I think he's one of the best actors on the show, and he did a great job in that one scene. Now, we were reminded of the prophecy, as we did see that things are still coming true. The restaurant had closed that one of the victims was murdered in, and we're betting that it's probably going to open right before the future event happens where Iris or someone dies. I kind of still want to see more of these episodes where they're trying to change things to change the future. They kind of set that up, and then they never really followed up on it. And then next week, although the episode next week looks awesome because they're going to Earth 2 Gorilla City, it doesn't really have anything to do with the main story arc, or that's what it appears to be at least. But I am really looking forward to next week. But anyway, back on this week. The episode opened up with Flash and Kid Flash racing, and I thought that was great. It was a fun little beginning just to show that Wally is still in training, and at the end of the episode, he finally is able to phase, showing that he's learning faster than Barry. So he could potentially be the one that is going to save Iris in the end. There was a fun little comedic moment when all the Wests meet Cecile's daughter, Joni, and she's talking about how in love with Kid Flash she is and how she thinks that he's attractive and she thinks that he's awesome and everything. And Wally kind of plays off of that. It was a cool little moment. I'm sure we will see Joni in the future. I don't think this is going to be like a romance or anything that's going to happen, but it was just cool. Wally was kind of starstruck for the first time, or one of the first times. So. And then later in the episode, as we see that Clive Yorkin is going through everyone, he's killed 2 cops already. He's coming after Joe. He then focuses on Iris and touches Iris, but because of Caitlin's able to freeze her arm and kind of keep the spread of his decaying power in place until they're able to make an antidote, which they did with Barry's blood or Wally's blood, either or, because since they're able to regenerate so fast, they said that is the cure to defeating Clive Yorkin. Now, we also saw Julian inspire Caitlin because she started losing it to Killer Frost. If you've been watching my reviews for some time, you know how I feel about Caitlin with Killer Frost. I think that it's just really stupid the way that she loses herself or loses control to Killer Frost, because no other meta is like that. So I think it was just a plot device that they use to have Caitlin kind of go against herself. Like, Barry doesn't turn evil because he's the Flash. Wally doesn't turn evil because he's Kid Flash. Most of the people who are metas who are evil were evil in the past. They're like criminals who got all these powers. So it doesn't make sense for Caitlin's character to do that. I hate that story arc. I've accepted it because they're not letting it go, but I just don't like it. However, with what we are given, I did like that Julian kind of stepped up in that moment, because he is still kind of a dick, and we see that every episode. And they're kind of getting him to try and... He's not a very likable character on the show, so I wouldn't be surprised if actually he might be the one that dies or somehow betrays or something like that. Something where I don't know if he's actually going to be back. So then in the end, Joe is trying to get in contact with the last cop that Yorkin is going after. He goes to find her. She's a private investigator. They get on the train. Yorkin kind of attacks the train. He brings down some rubble that the train would crash into, presumably killing everyone on board. But thanks to Barry, he phases through it. Now I'm going to point out a little plot hole that fellow nerd Devin pointed out to me. How did Yorkin get to where the train was going before the train got there? Because he was at the station when the train left, and then somehow wound up in front of the train. Not anything that's super big or bothering me, but just something to think about. Kind of plot hole that happened there. And then at the end, we also see that Julian and Caitlin are kind of getting a drink together, so that you can presume that there might be a romance there later on. So overall, I thought this episode was good. I thought the acting was really good. I thought the effects, as always, were pretty good. And the story, for a one-off episode, everything was great. Aside from the plot hole, I don't really have any complaints about this episode. I just want to see more of the season-long story arc. Granted, I can't wait to see Gorilla City next week, but I want them to get more into this season-long story arc, and I think that it's going to happen after the Gorilla City episode. We're going to see the season-long story arc kind of take over up until the end of the season. So with that being said, we do have a theory video on what we think Avatar's prophecy will be. Go over to our channel, check that video out if you haven't already. It would mean a lot to us if you like this video. Subscribe to our channel, check out all of our other videos, and I want to know what you guys thought of the episode. What do you think of the episode? What do you think of the prophecy? Who's going to die? Who's going to betray? What's going to happen next week in Gorilla City? Is it all connected? Let me know in the comments below. I will do my best to respond. So please sound off down there, and hopefully I will see you guys on all of our other segments.